This is the beginning of tape number 6. We are back on the record at 4:51.
All right, what was the last question I asked?
You were kind of mid-question. So these monks, well, earlier there was some discussion about visiting a monk.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Before I get into that question, we need to change dates.
Yeah. Just a moment ago, you were saying that the monks aren't Congress monks or monks of the Congress, correct?
All right. I don't know where you get the idea, but why don't you take an example and show me any of these monks, if you want to. These are the member of the Congress and the executive board, okay? And then you make your hypothetical question is that if any of these monks that would have interest, number one is that they don't have any interest in the Congress, okay? So therefore, the premises of your question is no longer tenable. And second is that they have only the interest at the local level. They don't have the interest at the Congress level.
And members on the executive board, all of the members of the executive board have their own temple and congregation?
Yes.
Okay. When talking about visiting monks, you were talking about visiting monks earlier, and I think you said that monks can come in. Well, that there's two different types of visiting monks. Would that be fair to say that there's a visiting monk that's recognized by the Congress, that comes to a congregation or a temple periodically, and then there's a visiting monk that is not recognized by the Congress that can come visit a temple with written permission of the Congress?
Objection, misstates prior testimony.
Not written permission, but with the permission of the residing monk or the monk in charge of that particular temple.
Okay, so it doesn't have to be written, but just has to be permission.
Right.
Okay. So but these other visiting monks, did I state that correct, that there are kind of these visiting monks that are recognized by the Congress that aren't necessarily assigned to a congregation but will visit different congregations?
Well, a monk would normally raise their own congregation, but in certain instances, a monk can be invited by a congregation, and if the monk accepts the invitation of the congregation to become that religious leader, then they will take up the position that they will be asked by all the visiting monks, when they come to visit the temple.
How would members of a congregation know that a visiting monk that is recognized by the Congress has the permission to be at that temple?
First, they will make a call to the designated monk that they have been asked to look over them, whether this visiting monk would have his permission to visit the temple.
What happens when there's no monk at the temple? Who leads the services?
When there is no monk at the temple, is the monk sick, or the monk did not have time to attend to the religious need of the congregation? The senior member would ask permission from the monk that was in charge, of the congregation, whether he could lead.
So just a senior member of the congregation would ask permission to lead the congregation?
Yes.
Okay. So they don't have to be a monk, just have the permission of the monk?
Yes.
Okay.
It has to be. It has to be some sort of formality.
And is that stated somewhere in the bylaws?
Objection. I'm not clear what bylaws you're talking about. Vague.
The Congress's bylaws.
No, the bylaw for the Congress is for the Congress. It's not for the congregation.
Okay, so if a congregation's bylaws didn't say that they had to have permission from a monk, then would they have to have permission from a monk to have a senior member of the congregation lead their services?
Objection. Misstates testimony.
Well, that would be
Documents
going
speak for
against
themselves.
yes, thank you. That would be going against the original tenet that if there is a monk being recognized to be the religious leader at the temple, the congregation or any visiting monk will have to ask permission. So it would not matter whether it is included in the bylaw of the congregation. That principle still holds.
That's a tenet of Buddhism?
No, that's not the tenet of Buddhism. That is the tenet of the Congress.
Where is that tenet found?
It's found through tradition. It's found through years of practice.
So if a congregation affiliates with the Congress and has always had one or another person who's not a monk leading their services, and then they affiliate with the Congress, how would they then know, after they affiliated with the Congress, that they're required to have permission from a monk before someone who's a non-monk leads their services?
Objection. Assumes facts not in evidence. Misstates
All right.
testimony.
When you want to become affiliated with the Congress, then you ask the Congress. You ask one of the monks of the Congress, say, look, tell me what needs to be done. Okay, it's simple as that.
So if a monk doesn't say that, then if a monk doesn't tell them that, if they say, hey, tell me what needs to be done, but for some reason that one or another point is left out, then what?
Objection. Hypothetical calls for facts not in evidence.
Then they have to ask again.
Well, but how would they know that they need to ask?
The monk
I
will
mean,
tell.
if they've asked the monk, tell me everything we need to do, and he leaves something out, and this isn't written down because, well, I don't know why it wouldn't be written down, but it's not.
Just like
Then how would they know that they even need to ask to find out that there's something missing?
Just like in a family. Your parents set out a rule. It's not written down. And you know how to follow them. Even, just by your parents telling you not to do that. Or do what I told you to do. Same thing. You know to ask. Because a reasonable person would know when they're in doubt that maybe something's not right. They should ask.
Okay, so they should just know that they should just know what they need to ask a monk on what to follow. They should just know instinctively what to ask a monk.
They should just be reasonable.
But didn't you say that the Congress doesn't recognize something that's not written down? And doesn't this conflict with that? If these traditions are not written down, that conflicts with your earlier testimony that the Congress doesn't recognize these unwritten things.
Objection. Misstates prior testimony.
All right. You're talking about two different things, okay? You're not asking the Congress telling you, you're asking the monk.
But doesn't the monk represent the Congress?
Objection. Misstates prior testimony.
The monk represents the Congress in what manner? In the legal sense of it? No. The monk has his own congregation. The monk has his own life. The monks volunteer to participate in the Congress matters.
Are there any other corporations, associations, societies, congregations to which the Congress has ever transferred a temple, title or ownership of a temple to?
Say that again.
Yes. Is there any other corporation other than what we're here specifically for in this lawsuit? Is there any other corporation, association, society, congregation to which the Congress has ever transferred title or ownership of a temple?
No.
So the only time this has ever happened is in this specific case here.
Yes.
Okay. And that's because the Congress has never had ownership to any other piece of property.
Objection was state's prior testimony.
Yes.
Okay. Has the Congress ever transferred title to a temple to an individual?
Like a lay person?
Like Chai Lang. Like the Venerable Chai Lang.
Tránh lại. Trí Lãng.
Chai Lang.
No.
Or anyone else?
No.
How about a lay person?
No.
Okay. So a monk who is assigned, so for example, we talked about when the Venerable Chi Lang was assigned as a representative to the Phổ Quang Pagoda, correct?
Is to a religious leader.
A religious leader. He's a
Right.
religious leader representing the Congress for religious, spiritual matters,
Correct.
correct? So if and let's use this example or any other example, if a monk is the Congress's spiritual representative at a temple, and then his oral statements to the congregation the statements of the Congress to that temple
Objection asked and answered.
for spiritual matters.
Objection compound.
All right, it's kind of convoluted. Let me kind of straighten it down. Okay. Let's say if the Venerable Thích Trí Lãng, who was assigned by the Congress to be the spiritual leader of the Phổ Quang Temple, would his spoken word be the word of the Congress?
Yeah.
Yes.
And if he says, so say he's making statements. I don't know in the Buddhist faith if you have a pulpit in your temple, but if he makes statements during a service, during a worship service, and he makes a statement about, so he makes some religious statements in his teachings or his leading of a worship service, but he also makes statements unrelated to spiritual matters. How are members of that congregation? Well, I'm sorry. First, let me ask: would both of those statements be the statements of the Congress?
Objection.
No.
Confused.
Only in the spiritual. Only exactly this letter would have stated.
How would members of the congregation know the difference?
Oh, they know the difference
Objection.
because they receive a copy of this.
Every member of every congregation has received a copy of that?
Actually, yes. It's stated right here that the congregant at the Phổ Quang Pagoda has received for review the term, yes.
And that you're looking at exhibit, is it 120?
Yes.
Okay. So that's that, correct?
Excuse me.
I mean,
I'm sorry.
that was a bad
Objection
one.
made. So that's that means.
Your statement that every member of the congregation at the Phổ Quang Pagoda has received that directive or order, correct? Or resolution.
Resolution.
Correct?
Yes.
Okay. But that only relates to the leadership, spiritual leadership, and title of the Phổ Quang Pagoda, does it not?
Well, I think that I already translated it once. Okay, this is resolution. Issue 1, assign the Venerable Thích Trí Lãng to be the religious leader representing the Congress with all authority to manage the religious issue at the Phổ Quang, who's having so address at 1185 West 1000 North, Salt Lake, Utah 84116. And issue 2 is the Venerable Thích Trí Lãng will follow this resolution to execute and report all events that happen relating to the religious activity at the Phổ Quang Pagoda to the executive board.
Okay. So that the members of the Phổ Quang Pagoda congregation all were supposed to receive a copy of that, correct?
Right.
This document is dated September 3rd, 2009, correct?
Correct.
So before September 3rd, 2009, if any other monk made statements to a congregation during a spiritual service, how would members of the congregation know that, be able to distinguish between what is a statement of the Congress for spiritual matters and what is just a statement of this monk for whatever purpose?
All right. Now, you're making a hypothetical situation that would not have happened because the monk that represents the Congress at Phổ Quang would not have, if he represented the Congress at the Phổ Quang Pagoda, would not have made any statement until the resolution has passed. So prior to the resolution being passed, no monk would have made such a statement.
Well, then why did Yak Dong make statements in meetings with members at the Phổ Quang Pagoda that he was working on getting title to the pagoda back to members of that congregation?
Objection assumes facts not in evidence.
Show me the record.
There are documents in the record that have previously been produced, meetings of minutes. Have you seen those documents?
Not anything specific to your statement.
This is a document that was produced by counsel just last week. Yeah, there you go. Marked as Exhibit 121.
Okay, so this was before, right? 2006.
Yes.
August 1st.
Have you seen that document before?
No.
Are you able to see what that are you able to tell what that document is addressing or discussing?
Objection to the extent that he hasn't seen it before.
All right, so what is your question?
You've had a chance to review that document now,
Yes?
and what does that document address? Well, let me first ask you, what's your understanding of what that document is?
Objection. Document speaks for itself.
It is a minutes of the meeting of August 1st, 2006.
And does that document purport to contain any statements of the Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh?
It's written as such, but I'm not so sure that to the veracity of this record.
Do you have any evidence that would show that the statements contained in that record are false?
Objection. Document speaks for itself.
The subsequent event indicate that the statement in here did not match with the event of 2010, 2011.
Well, I recognize your testimony is that, but my question was, do you have any evidence that would show that the statements contained therein are false?
Objection. Document speaks for itself.
I don't have the original document. I cannot say that whether this is the exact document that was produced.
What do you mean the exact document that was produced? What do you mean by produced?
This was produced by Mr. Tran, I believe.
When you say produced, are you meaning
who has the original document?
Okay.
Who has the original document?
I just wasn't sure by produced if you were meaning like a legal term of art in terms of production or. Okay.
I like the plain meaning.
Very good. Yeah, do you recognize any of the names on the back page of that document as, or any of the signatures or names as those whom you read affidavits from?
No, it's too difficult to read, with this quality here.
So this document purports, and again, this is based on what I've, I don't read Vietnamese, but this document indicates that Nhat Hanh was working on getting title back to the members of the congregation, correct?
Objection. Document speaks
More or less,
for
and I know
itself.
that's a
Best
very
evidence rule.
And I know that's a very, very simple statement of a much longer paragraph, but is that more or less what it says?
Same objections.
I'm not so sure about your statement because according to what I'm reading here is that the Congress has made a decision that from now on will not accept the real property donation to be under its name anymore. And the intent of the Congress is to return the title of all those property, to the local.
Which the only property, you say all those property, the only property, as you've testified, is the quote Pho Quang Pagoda.
Objection misstates
Correct.
testimony.
That's what it says here. It has nothing to do. It's not specific to anything. I'm reading.
Oh, I know. But I'm just
not
saying.
I'm not stating anything. This is not my word. This is what it is written here.
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, and you've testified already today, that the only property that statement could even apply to is this property.
Objection misstates prior testimony.
So earlier you said that that no member of any congregation could misinterpret what a monk who represents the Congress or who's affiliated with the Congress couldn't misunderstand what they said because of that directive.
Objection, misstates
what
prior
directive?
testimony.
Or not directive, whatever that is.
Yeah, this is different monk.
Okay,
This is a different monk.
Let me finish. That they couldn't misinterpret because of what this says. But this happened 3 years before what we have in Exhibit 120. So how are members of the congregation at the Phổ Quang Pagoda supposed to be able to differentiate the statements of a monk saying the Congress wants to return title of your property back to the local congregation?
Objection, document
How are they
speaks
not-
to for itself.
How are they not supposed to understand that statement as a statement of the Congress?
All right. See, this is issued by the Executive Board of the Congress. This was made by the association. Okay, so if you tell me whether there's some bias in here, or there was some, writing in here, I cannot vouch for it. This is the Congress. I'm here for the Congress, and you're presenting me with something that your client, the defendant, produced, and it was drafted by one of the defendants. So,
Yeah.
and you're asking me why it would not cause confusion? Definitely would have caused confusion.
Yeah, assume for purposes of this question, and I know you're not going to assume it for anything else, but assume with me for just a moment, for purposes of this question, that those statements of Yak Dang were true. Okay? If those statements were true,
If you want me to assume that, I want to get off the
let me
record.
finish. Let me finish the question. Assuming that those statements of Yak Dang are true, then what basis would any member of that congregation have to believe that that is not a statement of the Congress?
Objection, still the same
If
objections.
coming from a monk who sits on the executive board of the Congress.
Okay, but this tells me that the list here does not represent the majority of the congregation who attended the Phổ Quang.
That doesn't respond to my question. It doesn't have anything to do with whether it's a majority, a minority. I don't really care about that
Well,
right now.
you want me to assume? I'm
No,
giving you
no. My question was, what basis, if that statement is true, then what basis is there or would there be for any member of that congregation not to believe his statement to be a statement of the Congress?
Same objections.
Because what he said, he going to present it to the Congress. He never say anything that the Congress would transfer title of the Phổ Quang Pagoda to the congregation. He said that he going to present it to the Congress. And if you go further, the reason the Congress would not transfer it to the association because the association did not represent the majority of the congregant that attended the Phổ Quang Pagoda.
Again, that doesn't matter for purposes of my question. My question is, under what basis would any member of the congregation have to not believe that that is a statement of the Congress?
Objection, he just gave you the basis.
I gave you the best answer because you asked me to assume, and so I gave you what I can give you under the assumption that you have provided. So let me restate.
So based on my question, that is the best answer of the Congress. Because you're here representing the Congress, so I want to make
based
sure
on
that
the
that
assumption that you're giving me.
based on my question, that is the best answer of the Congress that you can give me for that question. It's a yes or no question.
Yes.
Okay. Let's move on. What's that? Yeah, I think so. Do we have a better?
That's the only copy, every copy I've seen.
Okay. Well, you want me to do it? Sure. Okay. Here, no, it's okay. We're going to mark, what is it, Exhibit 122. We have a beautiful yellow copy for you.
They both have the same Bates number on them?
They actually, yeah.
Well, this one's handwritten, but
Yeah, let's
it's the
use this
same
one.
number. What
Let's use this one.
is that? 1538.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Sorry, Dylan.
I think it's goldenrod, right? No, I'm just kidding. It's yellow.
We're handing you what's been marked as Exhibit 122. Have you seen this doc? And I recognize it's a very poor copy. We're not sure why it's such a poor copy. It looks like it may have been faxed multiple times. And have you seen this document before?
No.
Or any iteration or other maybe better copy of this document?
Did you have another question? He said no.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't hear that. I'm sorry. Do you have an understanding, based on what you've just read of it, of what this document is?
Objection document speaks for itself. And in this case, can't even read the letterheads.
Does it? My understanding is it's essentially resignation, or it's a fax from the Venerable Thích Trí Lãng to the association, or I'm not even sure. I can't tell if it's the association or the society, but the congregation at the Phổ Quang Pagoda in 2005. Essentially, they're showing the resignation of the Venerable Thích Trí Lãng from being the, I think, spiritual leader of that congregation. Is that a fair summary of what that document appears to say?
Yes, it's to the extent that what you explained, it was part of it.
Okay. And is that the we've talked about this stamp or seal other times of the Venerable Thích Trí. Is that the appear to, again, I know it's faxed and copied many times over. Does it appear to be the same seal or stamp
Objection
of the
document
executive
speaks
board?
for itself.
It appeared to be the same.
Would something like this have to be then also ratified or approved by the full Congress?
Yes, because as a matter of fact, there's a statement in here that say that trong khi chờ giáo hội giải quyết, xin Hòa Thượng tạm quản thụ chùa Phổ Quang cho đến lúc có sự bàn giao giữa hai ban cũ và mới. Meaning that
Well, of course, no.
while we are waiting for the Congress to make a decision, we asked that Hòa Thượng, meaning the Venerable Thích Trí Lãng, to temporarily manage the Phổ Quang Pagoda until there will be a formal transition between the new and the old executive board at the pagoda.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm not. You may have answered this. I don't know if we ever